Previously on Gears. On balls.co.za.
All right, Daisy, what you got for us?
On my second Diazies Double Ds today, it's Dreams and Donations, and I'm featuring the Kwanele Enough is Enough organization. The Kwanele Enough initiative, founded by Andy Kawa, aims to break the chain of silence protecting rape and sexual violence and their perpetrators by urging every man, woman, and child to take a continuous and proactive stand against these crimes. Kwanele Enough is Enough organizes various mobilizing events throughout the calendar year to raise awareness in support of other organizations that do focused work to help victims and to combat the crimes. Today we are chatting to the founder, Andy Kawa, to find out more about this organization. Hi Andy, thanks so much for joining us on Gears on Balls Visual Radio today.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Andy, starting off, could you tell us a little bit more about the Kwanele Enough is Enough organization?
Kwanele Enough is Enough is a campaign. It's a campaign that intends to be the loud piece that will continuously look at matters of sexual violence and ensure that the topic doesn't wane. I think that usually you find that with incidences, there's a lot of hype around an incident like a nene, and then it disappears. So the foundation wants to ensure that the issue of sexual violence is at the top of mind within the South African organization. And it intends to change mindsets in the future, to change consciousness of people, so that we begin not to normalize, we have normalized the issue of sexual violence. It intends to break the chains of silence around violence, sexual violence, starting from the home, to the community, to business, to organizations, to churches, to the whole of society. It's also looking at getting government, to getting the justice system to address the issues of the dysfunctions, systemic dysfunctions within the justice system that create and allow perpetrators to go free. We have them all out in our midst because cases are withdrawn, cases are abandoned, cases are closed because they've poorly been investigated and they're not admissible in front of the court. Even when we know who the perpetrators are, the investigators do not do their jobs. The investigators are key, are the gatekeepers to justice of sexual victims. They are also very important in actually eradicating the issue of sexual violence in the country.
Andy,
also, Kwanele intends to talk to organizations, to government.
Okay.
Andy, that is a remarkable undertaking in terms of what you're trying to achieve. I've got a couple of things. I'm glad you brought up government, and unfortunately, one of the biggest problems we have in South Africa is we are very desensitized because every single day we're hearing about rapes and we just think it's the norm. What you say you're going to be using the community through churches, etc., etc. What is it about South Africa that we're not getting the right education across to people of how severe and how destructive rape actually is?
I think that we are dealing with an intergenerational issue.
Mm-hmm.
From in the last 2.5 years, every time I talk to somebody, be it black, white, there is no racial divide.
Sure.
You find that it either has been in their home, has been in their family, broader family, in their community. So sexual violence in South Africa is endemic at the fiber of our society, starting from the home. So the reason why we cannot change is because we've got to change ourselves from the home. Because the investigators are also part of the society that has unconsciously tolerated and is apathetic to sexual abuse. Now, you also have to understand it doesn't only affect the individual. It affects the family. It affects the community. It affects, if you're working, it affects your work colleagues. It has an impact on productivity. It has an impact on people gaining and attaining their full potential. It has an impact on funds being diverted from the fiscus from where they would be to actually treating people medically, to social work, to unemployment because of the impacts of rape. So rape affects, and sexual abuse as a whole affects society, affects business, affects the economy, affects government. And we need to start viewing it as a victim issue. We need to start viewing it as an issue that has an impact on South Africa as a whole. And the reason why we have not looked at it, because there is a chain of silence throughout all these systems that I've spoken to you about.
It is just such a troubling subject that we have within South Africa. There's not enough done in the media to bring attention to all of these factors, and also, as you say earlier, the follow through. And of course, we can point fingers at the police and the way they investigate these things. But so many rapes happen in South Africa that we really have to make sure that this is in everybody's conscience all of the time in order for it to maybe get curbed in the future.
Exactly. And I usually say, I think that the major component here, it goes to the justice system because it has happened. I think that we need to be looking at our society. We need to be looking at what is happening in our homes, what is happening in our families, what is happening in our communities. I think that I just had an experience the other day talking to a person who had come to me for a totally different reason. We ended up having a 2.5-hour conversation on hair abuse that happened, that was done by the grandfather. She was 5. It was perpetuated by the uncle, her mother's brother. It was perpetuated by the father, by the brother. This is one individual who now is functioning at a very senior level in business. But in that 2 hours, I saw a troubled child. And this is just one incident. And there are many every day. And I said, there is no racial divide because the people I talk to are from all walks of life. And that is just one incident that has not been reported of somebody who is now in her 50s, who, when she revisits this, and you look at the myriad of abuse within the family. So we need to start in our societies. And maybe because almost all of us are either victims or have been affected in one way, and other people are perpetrators in one way or the other. I think that in order for us not to point fingers around this issue, we need to find a way of a truth and reconciliation and use what has happened, how this has damaged our society. There are business people out there who have been perpetrators. There are business women out there who have been abused. In government, in churches, we need a way in which we can use what has happened to our people as a lesson. The adults of today and the people who have been victims and perpetrators, we need to use this as a cautionary lesson, as Tata Nelson Mandela said. in a book that this has got to be the whole intergenerational sexual abuse that has happened in a country has to be a cautionary lesson, and you use that as a platform to reconcile and start to create a normal society where sexual abuse starting from the home is not norm.
I think there are many cases out there where people are almost too scared or afraid to come out and speak to someone about this. And clearly you really are someone who people can approach. So could you give us your details?
Okay, I'm available on the website. My details are Andy at Kwanele-Enuf, enuf.co.za. Website www.kwanele-enuf.co.za, and my mobile 082-770-2891. But I think that because of the number of calls I get, I prefer people to communicate by email, but I do understand that other people don't have that access, so they can use my website. So for my mobile number.
Well, I tell you, Andy, I haven't met you, but I really would love to meet you, and I really hope we can get you into the studio one of these times, because I think you're taking on a monumental cause, and I think your logic behind it is incredibly strong. And I would love you to come into the studio one day so we can meet you formally and try and assist you even more.
I think that it is very important. I think that I want to go back to the case of Anene. In her deathbed, she mentioned one of her rapists.
Yeah.
Now that person has been let free because they say that there's not enough evidence. I am still not convinced that somebody who is dying, who is in pain, can lie. And why has South Africa been silent? I think that the chain of silence needs to be broken in all sectors, from the mother who looks on the other side when the father or the uncle is abusing the child, to the prosecutors who know the case has not been investigated properly, but dismiss it instead of reprimanding investigators, from the magistrate who dismisses the case knowing that the prosecutor was not prepared. I think from the justice system, the minister, because all of these things are happening, and at the end of the day, he is the one that we hold accountable.
Yeah. No, 100%.
And then to the mothers and fathers of South Africa, to the men of South Africa, to the women of South Africa, I'm saying, where are you? You need to stand up and protect our children. The Constitution says we need to have the right of safety and security, protection of children, the right of human dignity. These are all ideals that are in the paper in the Constitution. As South Africans, we are not enjoying those. The democracy is in the paper. As individual members, we are not enjoying that democracy. We don't have, people do not have. I've forgotten to mention the boy child who is now seemingly becoming also a victim of abuse and sexual violation.
No, very much so, Andy. I know we could talk for hours, so that's why I'd really like to invite you into the studio. We're going to have to leave it there, but we've got...
There is one more thing. You're having a concert on the 25th of August. Can you just briefly tell us about that?
Yes, Kwanele is having its first benefit concert. We're bringing in an international star, Tera Naomi, who will be also a guest appearance by one of our own up-and-coming stars, Wongeziwe Mamandla. This will be at the UJ Arts Theatre. And the proceeds from that will be to create a video production that we hope we will circulate in the schools, because I believe that the arts is one of the ways to communicate difficult subjects. And I hope that people who are interested in that can go to the Kwanele website. it's going to be a very exciting. I think that Tera Naomi is young. Her music is very vibrant. People can look at it on YouTube. And Bongeziwe Mabanta will be a star that we will be looking at in the future. So I would really appreciate people to go and see the concert and also to support Kwanele by partaking in that concert. Tickets are already available on our website online.
All right, excellent.
Awesome.
Andy, thank you very much for your time, and we'll definitely continue and follow your progress. We really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. I think that this is not something that's got to stop. We've got to be tireless in dealing with this matter.
100%. We couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There we go. Wow, I tell you, this lady has got a huge undertaking, but I'd love to get her in the studio, Daisy.
Okay,
Can you
we'll
organize
set that up.
We'll set up all of the details. We'll give you the telephone number. We'll also give you the website and all of the other details. We'll put that up on the Balls page for you as well.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Gears with Sasha Martinengo on balls.co.za.